Okay, so today I want to talk about Payday 3. The game launched fully a week ago and with early access nearly 2 weeks ago now. And it's no secret that it's been a difficult time to be a Payday fan. Hence this video. Today we're just going to be discussing Payday 3 in general, completely unscripted, and I'm just going to be bringing up a few things that I've noticed throughout my first 2 weeks of playing the game. And not just playing the game, also just being a part of the community. The first thing that I really want to discuss is some of the disingenuous negativity surrounding the game's launch. I understand that launch didn't go as smoothly as Starbreeze wanted, and of course I was affected by the server downtime just as much as everybody else was. I too have also struggled with the leveling system and the UI in general, and so many things around the game that just aren't really up to scratch just yet. But one of the things that I've noticed happening so often in all corners of the internet, whether that be Twitter, YouTube, and elsewhere, I'm sure it's going on Twitch and Threads, if people still use that, I don't know. But people tend to just be shouting at Starbreeze and the devs specifically, which is never okay, never go after devs. If you have an issue with a game, you can tweet or comment or call out the company as a whole. Going after individual devs on their personal social media profiles is despicable, and anybody who does it should be ashamed of themselves. But I digress. I've seen comment after comment, video after video. I'm not putting screenshots up because I don't want to call anybody out specifically. This video is not aimed at anyone in particular. It's more just speaking about the things that I've seen. But there are people out there spreading misinformation, if you will, about the game. I've seen a couple of videos saying that Payday 3 doesn't really change anything from Payday 2, it's just a graphical overhaul. I've even seen some people saying it's on the exact same engine as Payday 2, which is partly the reason Payday 3 exists, is because the engine Payday 2 was built on is not sustainable and completely cut the console community out from the game. And so I implore you to take everything you hear about this game with a pinch of salt, even from me. We all have our own biases, whether that's for the game or against it, and the only person who can form your opinion is yourself. You can agree with people, you can disagree with people, and you can find yourself in the middle. What I'm basically asking is that you don't follow either the first opinion you hear or the loud shouty person who is saying that the game that's had a troubled launch is bad. And speaking of that troubled launch, let's actually talk about that itself. Obviously, it's no secret that the Payday 3 servers were struggling to begin with. While now they seem to be a lot more stable, as Starbreeze have undertaken some well-needed maintenance. Did this have to be how the game launched? There was an open beta that wasn't exactly an open beta, and I know there was a lot of people, myself included, who felt like maybe that should have been an open beta to really test the servers, but thankfully that seems like a misstep that has and is currently being rectified. And so I don't expect the server instability to plague the game for that much longer. And obviously the server instability drew the always online model into question. There are a lot of people currently requesting a offline mode, myself included. Obviously I would love to see that. I don't know how possible that is. Pulling back the curtain a bit, I work within the creative industries myself, and I can feel that there may be more at play when it comes to that issue. From the way it's been commented on by Starbreeze representatives, I'm under the impression that there may be an issue with shareholders when it comes to the implementation of an offline mode. I won't bother getting into why that is the case right now, as it's going to take some time to explain, and it's not necessarily the point of this video. But if you would like me to make another short video explaining why I think an always offline mode may not be possible right now, and suggest how, if my understanding of Starbreeze's current situation is accurate, they could go about bringing it into the game, please do let me know in the comment section down below. As for the game itself, the gameplay loop is brilliant. I am absolutely in love with the game and I can't put it down, really. I think they've built upon the foundation that Payday 2 set. I think there are things missing, which we will get to in a minute, but I really think they've got something here, especially with the new approach to the stealth and loud gameplay. The fact that you can start a heist in stealth, and if it goes wrong and you end up going loud, you don't often find yourselves restarting, unless of course you're going for a solely stealth run. The sort of transition between stealth and loud, which is one of the things the devs set out to achieve, they've struck gold with it. I often find myself starting a heist in stealth, getting past certain objectives, and then going loud, and allowing myself to enjoy that transition instead of it feeling like a penalty. Now, of course, there are still issues in the heist design. Thankfully, we're seeing less drills, albeit they have quite clearly been replaced with this new hacking minigame where you have to go and stand in certain areas, and I'll be completely honest, I'd rather a drill than that. I understand that maneuvering around the map adds challenge, and that's probably what the devs were trying to achieve with that, but I quite enjoy knowing once I've set up a drill, especially in stealth, I can then stay where I am, cover the drill, keep everything quiet, and not have to sort of navigate the map once I've got past the guards already. So I would be a massive advocate for more drill stuff and less hacking stuff in the future, but the hacking stuff works perfectly in loud, I find, and potentially there's a way of merging the two. So in stealth you end up drilling more, and in loud you end up hacking more. I don't know, I'm not a game developer, but that's what I would want to see personally. I think another element of Payday 3 that absolutely shines is the new skill system. Instead of having a perk deck and your skills like in Payday 2, in Payday 3 you just have these skill lines, and playing with certain skills unlocked researches and unlocks more skills. I would argue that the rate at which you earn skill points doesn't necessarily complement the rate at which you unlock new skills, and personally I would have advocated for players having the full 21 skill points by level 50 instead of level 100, especially given the way that the leveling system works, which we will get onto in a moment. But there are no skills or perks in Payday 3 that feel essential, unlike Payday 2. There's no Inspire, there's no Stoic, there's nothing like that, and I think that allows a lot more customization, as the absence of essential skills allows for builds to be completely tailored to individual playstyles rather than sort of metas, if you will, which is something I am a big fan of. Something that I'm not that big of a fan of is the current ammo economy in the game. I often find myself running completely out of ammunition and either waiting for a teammate to throw down an ammo box or being forced to bring them along myself. I guess I would argue that the closest thing to essential skills that we have are the ones that allow you to get more ammo faster, whether that's from enemy drops or ammo cases. If you ask me to describe how I feel about the Payday 3 ammo economy in a sentence, I'd say that they failed to draw the line between causing a player to be conservative and inconveniencing them. It's more of an inconvenience than challenging. Something I would say is challenging though, and something that I've really enjoyed learning throughout my time with the game, is the health and armor system. Now obviously health and armor work very differently to how they do in Payday 2, and I'm here for it. I won't even attempt to explain the system in this video. Maybe I'll do a deep dive into health and armor at some point, but right now all I can say is some of the most fun I've had with the game is learning how to best increase and risk my health and armor. I'm at the stage now where it's not something that I'm constantly worrying about in every heist, but it's also something I am keenly paying attention to, and I enjoy that sort of micromanaging a lot, even though I do of course miss the Stoic perk deck. If you asked me a week ago to tell you how I felt about the reward system in Payday 3, sort of heist payouts and XP rewards and so on, I would have complained and said you don't earn enough money from a heist or you don't earn enough XP. And when I say XP, I mean weapon XP, not infamy points. We'll get to that in a second. But as I've got more comfortable with the skills and the weapons, and I've been able to push myself to play harder difficulties, I think the payouts are quite well balanced. I understand that the heist payouts and XP systems is something that a lot of players are taking issue with, but I can't personally say I'm one of them. And so if you do have issues yourself with the reward system in Payday 3, please let me know in the comments section down below and let's talk about it. The progression system that I do have some issues with is the infamy system. I'm not the biggest fan of the fact that you only receive infamy points by completing challenges, and while I understand that they're implemented in a way that sort of encourages players to experience everything the game has to offer, it kind of has the adverse effect in a way, because it forces the player to do things they may not necessarily want to do, therefore discouraging them from leveling up and discouraging them from unlocking more stuff in the game. So in a way, it's a kind of double-edged sword, and while I understand this was not the intention of Starbreeze, it kind of feels like they're saying we don't trust our players enough to experience the full game for themselves, and in turn locking us away from that exact experience. A good example would be in Payday 2. I want to try out as many weapons as possible to find the ones that I enjoy, so I play with the ones I like, I level up more, and then try new ones as and when I unlock them. And if I don't like them, I can go back to using the ones I do like until I unlock more to try those, and so on and so forth. In Payday 3, I'm permitted to use a weapon I like for a certain amount of time until the developers have deemed that I've used that weapon for long enough and should move on to a new one. If I then try to use a new one and don't like it so much and want to go back to my previous weapon that I was enjoying, I'm then prohibited from unlocking more weapons, in a matter of speaking. And I understand that the kill challenges aren't the only way to earn infamy points, but they're currently the best way to do so. I don't really want to play certain heists 15, 45, and 100 times. And even if I did, that's gonna take a lot of time. And so, irrespective of the UI changes, like the challenge pages being difficult to navigate that I'm sure will be addressed very soon, I personally think the infamy grind is fundamentally flawed to begin with. And while I understand that at this point it would probably be a very difficult thing to implement, perhaps a more traditional leveling up system, especially for your overall level, wouldn't be such a bad idea. And while we're speaking about good ideas, I really want to highlight how transparent Starbreeze have been with these daily live streams that they've been doing over the last week and are set to continue this week starting on Tuesday. For those of you who aren't aware, since the unfortunately unstable launch of Payday 3, there have been daily live streams where Almir and either Andreas or Mio sit down and discuss the state of the game and answer community questions. These have been some really great, really transparent discussions about the state of the game and what it has in store for its future. While there are certain things that Almir has read out and then said they can neither confirm or deny, and that does take up a considerable portion of those streams, when we do finally get some information, it's always pretty much gold dust. My biggest issue with those live streams is they do kind of lean on the "this feature was not in Payday 2 at launch" question, which is kind of redundant because we're not talking about Payday 2 at launch, we're talking about Payday 3 at launch. And for things like the safe house, I kind of understand that. The safe house at the launch of Payday 2 was very different to what it was by the time the game's lifecycle was over, but when it comes to features such as the jukebox, where you can just select heist soundtracks to play on the menus or during other heists, I feel like it's a bit redundant to say that that was something that came later into Payday 2 because it doesn't seem like the most complicated thing to implement, but then again, I'm not a game developer. I really do like that Starbreeze are being transparent and open with the state of launch, and they're not trying to sweep anything under the rug, nor could they really if they wanted to, but nonetheless it is something that I have a lot of respect for. I made a video over a year ago where I expressed my utmost praise towards Treyarch for being really transparent about the state of Vanguard zombies, and I fully intend to show Starbreeze that same level of appraisal. Obviously this is not a full review of the game, nor is it my intention to criticise the countless hours of hard work and dedication shown by the Starbreeze team as they've developed this fantastic game. The term diamond in the rough has been thrown around a lot about Payday 3, and I can get behind that because I really do see why. At the end of the day, I'm very confident in saying this is going to be a phenomenal game by the time we get through all of these trials and tribulations we found ourselves faced with at launch. I really do believe we have an exciting year and hopefully decade ahead of us with Payday 3, and so it's just as valuable to discuss transparently the current state of the game now as it will be in hopefully 3, 4, 5 years time. This was a unscripted ramble, if you will, about Payday 3 that I hope will complement a very scripted, very well thought through video that I have coming out at some point soon. But for now, that is just about all we have time for, and so with that all said, thank you very much for watching once again. If you'd like the video, drop a like on the video. If you dislike the video, drop a dislike on the video. Thank you very much for watching once again, and I will see you in the next video.